Views expressed by Casters Guild members are only the opinions of that member, and that could change from day to day. Guild members may use mature language, but that in no way means they are mature. Listener discretion is advised.
Discord has a brand new CEO. Fooly Cooley has a brand new Fanimation, and Metal has a brand new video game. And that's the spell we're casting tonight on Casters Guild. Thank you for tuning into this episode of Casters Guild. I'm your Guildmaster Rick Perry, a Bocoblin's best friend.
And I am your Guildmaster Baron Kane, a meat popsicle.
So it seems like we are talking about this every episode, but honestly, I feel like we need to. Let's continue to talk about how the U.S. government's missing the mark.
I'm still working on the theme music for our segment.
Because remember that first one we got was copyrighted by Wizards. So
yeah.
You know, when we wanted to avoid the Pinkertons. So
right, of course.
All right, so kind of some news that just kind of is proof of what we were talking about before, that these tariffs are going to kind of end up ending the indie hardware scene and a lot of these smaller video game company scenes. 8BitDo, which is probably one of the best companies for getting third-party accessories, especially when it comes to handhelds, and they actually make kind of retro emulation consoles, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not the only company either, but we're just talking about this one specifically because they have officially announced that they are not importing any new hardware from their warehouses in China.
All right.
They have specifically stated that is because of the 145% tariffs on imports from China and due to the ending of the de minimis of $800. And for anyone who doesn't know, and this is especially helpful for individual consumers, but at one point in time there was a de minimis on any of the tariffs where if you were importing less than $800 worth of goods, you didn't get the tariff. I feel like this is especially important because I've seen a lot on TikTok and in social media in general that people are finding ways now to order directly from Chinese manufacturers as a way to skirt around tariffs.
Sure.
Which was kind of neat there for a minute where like the Chinese manufacturers were literally posting on social media, hey, since you can't order from these companies that were ordering from us anymore, get your goods at, manufacturer pricing direct from us. But now, if you are doing that, if you have listened to these TikToks and you're taking advantage of this loophole, expect to pay those tariffs yourself.
Yeah.
I have even heard cases of people getting bills directly from customs and things like that after having already paid for their goods.
Such bullshit. Now,
that being said, do your research. Because a lot of times, even if you're ordering direct from manufacturer, if it's like 1/10 of the price that you would have paid, that a bigger company for their markup, and then you have to pay twice as much because of the tariff, that's still only 1/5 of what you would have paid the U.S. Middleman for that same product. So you can still end up saving a lot of money that way. Just do your research. Back to 8BitDo, they have claimed that they will continue selling controllers, mice, and other accessories that they already have in their U.S. warehouse. So you can still get some of that cool retro stuff from 8BitDo, but who knows how long they're going to be able to survive as a company when they don't have anything new coming into their U.S. warehouse.
Right. Which, I mean, hey, who knows? Maybe this little thing is going to make their sales jump. So you may want to get on that.
A couple other things under the tariff headline. Back in 2024, the 6th edition of Shadowrun came out, and they were using a Chinese manufacturer.
Mm-hmm.
And when it got sent over to the US, it set a precedent that those books would be classified as hardbound books and not classified as
like games or stuff like that.
game materials.
Yeah.
Therefore, they are exempt from the worst of the tariffs. And that set a precedent. So there is some good news in the gaming industry. We have all these gaming companies end up being shut down because of all of these tariffs. But if all you're doing is printing TTRPG books, it looks like you're mostly exempt due to the precedent set by Shadowrun 6th edition. So that's some good news. And in a shockingly good business move out of Wizards of the Coast, with their new Final Fantasy set of Magic the Gathering cards coming out, because of their relationship with Square Enix in getting these cards printed, apparently they are getting most of them manufactured and shipped out of specifically Kyoto, Japan, and mostly European factories. Now, this is where I think the whole system gets kind of corrupt, and I don't know who's shaking hands with who to make this happen, but we were just talking about 8BitDo, and 8BitDo can't get around the Chinese tariffs because their systems are qualified as toys, not as technology. And if it was qualified as technology, they could get around it, but because it's toys, they can't. Whereas Wizards of the Coast here, because they're coming out of Kyoto and coming out of Europe, the opposite is true. Because they are qualified as toys, they're able to get a bigger exemption from the tariffs. So just depending on what your manufacturing is coming out of and what it's classified as, that's changing hugely in what the tariffs are costing you.
Yeah, like we were talking about before, you can't really blame them for taking advantage of that loophole, but it seems, really shitty that the one side is getting hugely tariffed for something that another side is not.
Yeah, exactly. And Wizards of the Coast is this giant company that can afford to move entire manufacturing processes from one place to another in order to save themselves on their tariffs. And smaller companies like 8BitDo just can't afford to do that, and they're going to end up dying out as a company.
Mm-hmm.
All that being said, the only thing that Wizards stated that they are still pulling out of or manufacturing and shipping out of China to still get those large tariffs are Dungeons & Dragons box sets. So if for some reason you're still looking to get box sets from D&D, the next one will be based on Gary Gygax's signature module, the Keep on the Borderlands. And that's coming out this September. That's still being manufactured. And shipped out of China. So it'll still have that big tariff on it. So expect that, if that was something you were looking forward to for some reason, expect that to have a hefty price tag on it.
Yeah, I can't be the only one depressed by all of this.
I mean, yeah, it's one of those things where we have to be talking about this because it has to keep being talked about in our community, because the more we're talking about it, the more likely that everybody who can do something about it will get up and do something about it. Like we had that, the publishers of Wingspan are starting that lawsuit. Maybe big companies like Wizards, instead of, trying to find these workarounds for the tariffs, maybe they should start joining in with publishers of Wingspan and doing something about it, throwing money at it that way rather than trying to figure out how to skirt the tariffs. Obviously, it's affecting them too, for them to have to do these workarounds.
Yep, but I think that Wizards, maybe this is how they're missing the mark. I think that they're seeing their competition getting hurt instead of realizing that them existing is good for their business.
Right. Yeah, and then who knows, maybe what they'll try to do is wait for all of the competition to die out and then swoop in and try to get legislation changed, which is a shitty model. It's a shitty thing to do. So yeah, there we go, full circle. I didn't think we'd have a way that Wizards was missing the mark. I was like, well, they're making a pretty good business move. Can't really call them missing the mark, but in that way, I think they definitely are.
Yep, I struggled to squeeze it in, but I got it.
We got there.
Something that kind of popped up in my periphery. I don't even know how I saw it. It was like a just kind of blink and you miss it kind of thing. But apparently the Discord CEO and co-founder is stepping down, which, doesn't necessarily mean anything bad. However, the company is going public. and a Activision Blizzard former executive is stepping in. So
I don't know how I feel about someone from Blizzard being the person stepping in.
Yep.
I'm gonna Google this name here. Served as Chief Strategy Officer between 2016 and 2019.
Oh no.
So is this one of the guys who were involved in all that Blizzard shenanigans? Like
That's a good question. That is a good question.
Let me tell you guys, we have to pay attention to everything that's going on with Discord, with it going public, with a new CEO stepping in. Discord is one of the last bastions of places we can get together as communities. And if this is going to go the way of, Facebook, go the way of Twitter, that's not good news. But that would also just kind of all be speculation, because there's nothing saying that any of this will lead to that. It's just something we need to be wary of. According to this article, which came off of 9gag News, Discord's other co-founder is going to remain at the company as CTO. So there is that, which is good. And
okay, it looks like, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to cut you off here, but just as I'm kind of looking through stuff, it doesn't look like Human Saknini. Boy, I feel bad about that. It doesn't look like he has been named in that lawsuit.
Well, that's good. That's good news. I'm also seeing here that Jason Citron, the current CEO that is stepping down, is going to stay on the board of directors. And he did release a message that was shared with employees and with Discord's website. And I quote, "As we enter our next phase, I've been reflecting on how I can best contribute to Discord's long-term success. The job of a CEO is constantly evolving, and over the years, I have continuously hired myself out of a job. Usually that means delegating work and then taking on different leadership challenges. However, as I look at what is needed of Discord's CEO over the next few years, I realize it's time for me to literally hire myself out of a job." So, I mean, of course, stuff coming directly out of the company is always going to have that spin on it to make them sound really good. So all of this does sound like good change, like possibly growth, which is, necessary for a company to survive in, this society that we live in. But just keep an eye on this if you're someone who uses Discord regularly. You never know what changes they're going to make, and that could be extremely important.
Yep. And I would say, don't hesitate. If you just see them starting to go down the wrong path, don't hesitate to call them out on it in any way that you can. Not that we have a lot of influence on big corporations, especially when they go public, but
if they do something that we don't like and they see a big enough outcry from enough of its user base, it will at least make them reconsider, to at least stop and think about what they're doing and whether or not it's a good thing and whether or not they're going to be able to continue to carry the user base that they need to in order to continue to grow. But none of that happens if you don't make your voice heard.
Yep.
Moving on to the next story. Anyone who's been listening to this podcast for a long amount of time will probably know that I am a great big Fooly Cooly fan. This Saturday was the 25th anniversary of Fooly Cooly, and there was a fan-organized recreation of one of the Fooly Cooly episodes, where basically they had over 300 different animators from all across the globe all get together and make a shot-for-shot recreation of one of the episodes of Fooly Cooly, specifically the 5th episode titled Brittle Bullet. I just watched it today, and I have to say I am extremely impressed with the quality that was put together by all these fan animators.
I'm really excited to watch it. I think I knew this was happening, and then because it's animation, I was waiting, and then it just kind of left my mind.
Sure.
So I forgot that it was happening.
They announced that these kinds of things are happening, and then animation takes a very long time, and then you forget that it's going to come out, and then it comes out, and then you get pleasantly surprised.
Yep. And then sometimes you just completely forget that you knew in the first place. You're like, why didn't anybody tell me this?
The cool thing about this is it's entirely on YouTube. You can watch it for free. I was pleasantly surprised with it being in the old school 4:3 format, just because that's how the original was in. And if you're going to make a shot-by-shot remake, why not stay true to the source material? And round of applause not only to these animators, but also to the original creators of Fooly Cooly for not shutting this down. Because apparently that's something that's not a given anymore.
Right, exactly.
Because they use the audio from the original episodes. So honestly, the creators of Fooly Cooly could have just as easily just made a copyright claim on it and shut the whole thing down.
Sure.
But they haven't. They've let it happen, and it's a fantastic piece of animation. And if you are a fan of Fooly Cooly, I would recommend giving it a watch.
Absolutely.
And if you're not a fan of Fooly Cooly, or you just haven't seen it, it is available.
Then get out.
It is available in its entirety on both Hulu and Max, or other places on the internet that I can't necessarily, endorse. But I recommend, if you haven't watched it, to seek it out and watch it. It's not a hugely long series, and it's got a lot of stuff in it that you just don't see in other. It's very unique, and it's unapologetically itself, which I love about it. Speaking of things that are unapologetically themselves, Chaos Monger Studio is making a new game that I have my eye on, and I think all of you should have your eyes on as well. I believe it is called Voivod, the Nuclear Warrior.
That sounds about right.
So the entire video game seems to be a 16-bit era pixel art side-scrolling shooter type of video game that is all... The entire video game seems to be a love letter to metal, the genre of music metal. Now, for any of you who grew up gaming in the 80s or 90s, might remember that some metal bands used to have entire video games based around them. And that's something we just haven't gotten in a very long time. But it looks like Chaos Monger Studio is trying to bring that back.
So what would be the first game that pops to your mind when you... Because, I know you said that they used to do that. And I kind of have an idea of what... I already have what's in my head, and I want to see if it's the same thing.
Okay. There was, an arcade shooter.
Yep. That's exactly the same one I was thinking of. Maybe. Hold on. Keep going.
Oh, God. Which band was it? I want to say... Was it Aerosmith?
It was Aerosmith. Revolution X.
Yes, that's exactly it. That's exactly the one, Revolution X.
I was thinking of, too. It was every arcade that you went in, you'd go to a fair that had an arcade. I don't know if anybody went to a county fair or something like that had an arcade, but for some reason ours did. And it was always there. It was everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. And basically... It was Aerosmith. Honestly, it had kind of a similar plot to Rock and Roller Coaster, which also featured Aerosmith in Disney, where Aerosmith needed to get to a show, but there's a bunch of bad guys in their way, and you have to fight your way through with music. Literally, you had guns that shot CDs. It's a fantastic game, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, it is better than it has any fucking right to be.
Yeah. This is kind of what I'm talking about, where these developers, when they made that game, they made a great game that was centered around Aerosmith, instead of just being okay, we got a license, let's pump out the fastest game that we can. Who cares if it's crappy? It's going to have Aerosmith's name on it. People are going to buy it. In a way, I think that kind of has to do with the era that it came out of, because you can't do a quick cash grab like that in an arcade.
No.
You have to make a game that people want to continue to pump quarters into.
So here's another. Oof. Let me check the dates on this. I had to look this up. So, what do you think the first video game featuring a rock singer or a rock band was?
Specifically rock?
Well, that's what we're talking about, right? Rock and roll.
Yeah. It's just my first thing my brain went to was Michael Jackson's Moonwalker. But that's not rock.
He is very specifically pop.
Yes.
He is pop royalty.
Yeah, I really
don't think you're never going to get it.
No, I do not know.
Never get. So the first game to feature a rock band or a rock band styled game was Journey Escape.
No. What was that for?
That was for the Atari 2600 in 1982.
Hell yeah.
And really, like, the band wasn't in it, but it was... Journey had an album called Escape.
Right.
And there is a spaceship on the album cover.
Sure.
That they used in the game.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, but that's it.
That's great. And for them, I feel
Oh,
like
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
There is an electronic rendition of Don't Stop Believin' that played as an introduction.
I feel like that's a real risk by the developers back in the day who would have picked that up, because you know the license probably wasn't cheap.
Sure.
To get Journey to agree to have their license featured in a video game, and the most of the music they were going to get was that little chiptune version of Don't Stop Believin', and they were like, nope, we're gonna make this work.
So that one was hard, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to give you another chance to guess number 2. The second one. The second game ever released that featured a singer or a band from the rock genre. You know what? Even if you guess the singer and or the band, I'll give you credit.
You know what? I'll just take a stab in the dark and say, what's between Journey and Aerosmith in, like, the rock lexicon?
Sure.
Let's say Motley Crue.
Wrong. It was also Journey.
Journey again. Damn it. I was like Motley Crue, Kiss, like, what's it gonna be? And like, no, you're like, nope, Journey again.
Yep, it was a arcade game. It was released in 1983.
Okay.
And
okay.
the point of the game was you're controlling the band.
Okay.
And they're on their spaceship again, but you're trying to recover your instruments.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, I'll take that. I'll take that.
Sure. Can you guess the third one?
Man.
Wrong. It's Journey again.
Okay. How many Journey are okay. I'm gonna take back what I said earlier, where like Atari probably had to pay a lot for like this Journey license. Okay, it's either they paid a lot for it once and then we're gonna pump out a bunch of games, or Journey was like, yes, we want to be in video games. It's got to be one of the two.
Yeah, but I will also say, see, 1, 2, 3, the fourth one. I'm just gonna even say I'm gonna give you Motley Crue.
Okay,
it's not. It's Paul McCartney.
Of course it is. Of course it is.
1985's Give My Regards to Broad Street. It's a Commodore 64 game.
Of course it is.
Isn't it fucking crazy?
It is. Look, okay, while you were talking about that, I did find an article of like the weirdest video games based on bands on Polygon.
Sure.
And almost none of the ones you just mentioned are on this article, but like that's how.
Really? Those are weird as fuck, though.
So, we got Kiss, Psycho Circus, The Nightmare Child.
I am familiar with that game, actually.
Oh, are you?
Yeah. I've never played it, but yeah, I have friends obviously who love Kiss, so yeah.
Apparently, it was released for PC and Dreamcast in 2000.
Huh.
All right, they've got Journey the video game on here, the arcade one specifically. They've got Revolution X on here, which we were just talking about, the Aerosmith game. And there's Motley Crue. There it is. We got Crew Ball, which was the Motley Crue pinball machine.
I will say this: after Paul McCartney, it was Motorhead, so at least it was kind of in that genre of rock.
I misspoke. It was not a pinball machine. It was a digital pinball game for the Sega Genesis, but it's still called Crew Ball.
Sure.
Let's see. Devo presents Adventures of the Smart Patrol. I never would have guessed Devo.
No.
Apparently, It's a point-and-click puzzle game like Myst or Riven, and it was a CD-ROM for PC. That's fantastic. We have Queen the Eye, which was another CD-ROM game released in 97. And apparently it looks like a Queen-flavored Resident Evil.
Okay.
We've got Iron Maiden's Ed Hunter for PC, released in 1999.
Sure.
Metallica, the game, aka Damage Incorporated. Oh, apparently that was canceled. It was supposed to be a competitor to the Twisted Metal series, released in 2003.
Yeah, there were a few of those that came out, didn't one there?
And it got canceled. And the last one in this article, I don't think it qualifies as a rock band, but Wu-Tang Shaolin Style. I gotta say, I played this game, and it was like...
I played it too.
Yeah, that was a good game.
Yeah, it was. But yeah, I don't think they count as a rock band either, because if we're counting them as a rock band, then we gotta go back and remake the list.
Yeah, 100% we would. So that does not count. I will say, when I first found this article about an indie game based off of a heavy metal band, which apparently this one is based off a specific band. Voivod apparently is a metal band. It's not one I've heard of, but this game is entirely based around them. But the first game that came to mind was actually more of a recent one, and it's not based off a particular band, but oh man, the name is, it just left my brain. Like, I had it until I went to say it. It was made by Double Fine Entertainment and starred Jack Black.
Brutal Legend?
Brutal Legend, that's it. That game caught a lot of flack when it came out, but I loved it. I loved it from start to finish. I thought the story was decent, pretty funny, and I thought the gameplay loop was pretty satisfying.
I mean, like, why did it catch flack?
The biggest reason was the boss battles were like an RTS style, if you're familiar with like StarCraft and like the original Warcraft, but it all took place from like a standard adventure game third person perspective. So like you had to run around the battlefield as Jack Black commanding the army. So you didn't get like that overhead view and being able to select units easily like you normally would with an RTS. So a lot of people struggled with it. Was it more like Dynasty Warriors then? No, it was 100% like a RTS. Like you literally were commanding units and telling them to go particular places and attack particular structures. And basically it was like a giant field, and they made all the boss battles like, and this is also how the multiplayer was handled, was like every time you played against someone in multiplayer, they considered a battle of the bands, and your army's stage would be at one end of the field, and the other army's stage would be at the other end of the field, and you were trying to take out their stage before they took out yours. Mm-hmm. And just like RTSs, there were resources you had to gather. Like they had these wells of souls that were like pouring out of these wells, and they called it fans. And like you had to build merch booths over the wells in order to gather the fans. And you would use those fans as your resources to buy new units or build new structures. And it caught a lot of flack for those boss battles and that multiplayer, but I thought it was pretty fucking cool.
All right.
But either way, now that we've given you a short history on metal band video games, just know we've got a new one back. It's coming out. I'm going to check out some of this band's music and see what it's all about. And then if I like it, maybe I'll check out this game on Kickstarter.
Yeah. Also, one sentence I never thought I would ever read. Frontman Tyler, so Steven Tyler, and guitarist Joe Perry appeared as the villainous Toxic Twins in the Robert De Niro produced computer adventure game 9 The Last Resort.
That was not the most Mad Lib description of a video game I've ever heard in my life. I don't know what is. That's fantastic. But anybody knows a thing about a metal band knows that some of the coolest t-shirts you'll ever get are metal band merch. And do you know where you can get t-shirts that are just as cool, if not cooler? tvillain.com.
T-Villain is a t-shirt site where you'll find a killer limited edition shirt being sold for $13 only while supplies last. Every Monday, the site features a new design by a new artist. We would tell you what's featured right now, but by the time you hear this, it's already changed.
They choose the most ingenious designs that reflect everything evil and villainy, as well as works pertaining to anything artistic, pulp style, lowbrow, pop culture, TV, movies, music, video games, comics, etc. All things cool and evil, basically. To check them out and help out Casters Guild, click our link in the description. All right, coming back in, I know a lot of what we do around here is report on news and articles that we find, but I wanted to take a minute just to talk about my day-to-day geek life. I would love to be able to spend a lot of my time playing new video games and then report on those video games and tell y'all what I think about them. I would love to be constantly, watching movies and TV shows and reading new books and then reporting on those. But I work a standard 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, and I don't have time for all that.
Right.
Not to mention, as an adult in my mid to late 30s, after I do work that 9 to 5 job, I just don't have it in me to boot up a new video game half the time. What I do have time for, though, because I am lucky enough to work from home, I listen to a lot of lo-fi on a day-to-day basis while I'm trying to get my work done. And I would like to fill you in, my listeners, if you've listened to every episode of Casters Guild. Because first of all, if you're working from home and you need something to listen to while you're trying to get work done, first go listen to every episode of Casters Guild. I think we make for pretty good co-workers, if you will.
I'd like to think so.
But if you've listened to every episode and you're looking for something else to listen to, I would like to share with you 5 of my most listened to lo-fi channels as I work through my day. So first up on the list is actually one of the newest ones I've come across. This is one of the ones that is not live 24/7. It is a limited time, but it's 10 hours long, so it should get you through your workday on any given day. It is Study with Max Goof. For anyone
it's exactly what you think.
Yes. For anyone who does not know, Max Goof is Goofy's son, specifically from a Goofy movie. Recently...
Hold on. Wait a minute. Hold on. Wait. Is his name Max Goof?
Yeah.
His dad's name is Goofy Goof?
I think... Okay. Don't quote me on this.
Rick, please, make it better.
I don't think it is confirmed what Goofy's first name is. I think that his last name is Goof, and he's one of those guys who just kind of goes by his last name everywhere that he goes, and all his buddies just kind of eventually turn Goof into Goofy.
Okay, so what's his first name?
That I'm not sure.
You know what? Hold on.
I'd also like to point out that Pete, which is one of the people who actually see in the Goofy movie hang out with him, calls him Goof all the time instead of calling him Goofy. So I think that lends my theory some credence.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm seeing... Oh, weird. Originally known as Dippy Dog? He's a fucking dog?
Yes, Goofy has always been a dog.
But his full name, is G.G. Goof.
Okay.
Oh, no. And they have aliases for him. Dippy Dog, George G. Geef.
I was just about to say, I thought I remember hearing his name as George at some point in time.
You know what? I do remember Goofus D. Dog. I do remember that.
Okay.
But then, Goofy G. Goof. This motherfucker's name is Goofy Goof in some iterations. No, wait. No, you know what? They're saying his full name is GG Goof. Goofy G. Goof is still accurate. His name is fucking Goofy G. Goof. Goofy Goof.
Oh, man. It's going to be worse if we find out that middle name is like Goofus or something like that.
He also went by Super Goof.
Yeah?
I think he ate special goobers for that.
Goofy goobers, maybe?
I mean, maybe. I think they were more like peanuts.
Sure.
I had a comic. I vaguely remember that thing happening.
I mean, goobers are a candy that exists that are just chocolate-covered peanuts.
Whenever Goofy eats super goobers, peanuts, he gains incredible powers and assumes the identity of Super Goof. It's just him wearing red long underwear with a blue cape.
I would expect nothing less.
Nothing less.
So, for anyone who doesn't know, recently a Goofy movie passed its 30-year anniversary, if I'm not mistaken. And part of that 30-year celebration was the release of this lo-fi channel. It's got some decent music, and it just the animation of Max Goof in the classic lo-fi girl style, just kind of reading a book, taking notes, and it hits the nostalgia button for me because a Goofy movie was like big in my childhood and was something that I've passed on to my nieces and nephews and my own kid. And it was I've told the story before where even like at my most recent trip to Disney, I say most recent, it's only like my second one in my entire life, I got to see Max Goof dressed as Powerline, and actually I ended up bawling like a little baby. So yeah, this one's a good one for me. I'd highly recommend checking it out. Next up is Medieval Lo-Fi. This one's got like a bit of a twist on it where it kind of sounds like music you would expect to hear in a fantasy tavern with a lo-fi twist. I sometimes use this one when I am working to fill the silence and keep me focused on work. But honestly, I use it more often when I'm prepping for my TTRPG campaigns. When I'm doing my D&D prep, it kind of gets me in the mood. So if you are looking for a lo-fi channel for that, I would highly recommend this one. By the way, I'm going to put all of these in the description. So if you're looking specifically for the links for the channels I'm specifically talking about, they'll be in the description for this episode. Next up is probably the newest of the ones I've found. It's a chill Square Enix music.
Nice.
It's a 24-hour channel, and it's just live streaming all the time. And it's got a bunch of Final Fantasy music with a lo-fi spin on it.
I mean, that's got to be right up so many people's alleys.
Oh yeah, 100%. If you grew up with any of the Final Fantasies and, you find yourself humming any of those theme musics or battle themes to yourself, this is going to hit that nostalgia button for you and make you feel right at home as you are going throughout your workday. Next up, we have Lore-Fi. For anyone who doesn't know, Lore-Fi was one that was put out by Matt Pat and his team over at, the Theory channels.
Yeah, I wanted to check that out, and I just never was able to get into it.
Yeah, well, here's what I'll tell you, okay? It is technically not only a lo-fi channel, but also an ARG game. And over time, fans of the channel have unlocked more live streams. I believe there's currently 3 live streams that are going on 24/7 as the story has progressed. I have not had any time to solve the ARG or participate in the ARG. I have no idea what's going on in the story. But the music is really solid, and the animations are great. And I have no problem just sitting back and listening to the music while everybody else plays the game. And last on my list, I have to give it up to the classic Lo-Fi Girl, Lo-Fi Hip Hop Radio. Nobody does it quite like they do, and I would be remiss not to at least say, that they deserve credit for the origins. And I still default back to this one pretty regularly when I used to get tired of some of my other ones.
Yeah, the main one.
Yeah, just
yeah, it's hard to beat that.
Lo-Fi Hip Hop Radio, beats to relax /study to on the Lo-Fi Girl channel. It's classic. And Baron, I think you have a few of your own.
I sure do. So you have your lo-fi stuff. I realize that we don't really talk about this, do we? We don't really talk that we have our go-tos where we just pop it on, we clean, we study, whatever. But yeah, so I have a couple myself. So I'm just gonna do my 3 go-tos. They're all kind of similar, but I have Cyberfunk Station. It has a lot of synth stuff, but if you think about almost kind of like a 70s funk kind of stuff, but it has the old anime kind of feel to it. At least the covers do. Just fair warning, if you have a problem with cleavage, maybe not go and click on these. But if you don't have a problem, go for it. But the music is great.
If you still want the music, nothing's stopping you from just putting it in a tab that you're not looking at.
Right, exactly.
Why does it not surprise me at all that one of your go-tos is named Cyberfunk, which is so close to Cyberpunk?
Yep. It's crazy, right? Anyways, my next one is Robert M. Garza, which is a cyberpunk. No, I'm kidding.
I was about to say, nailed it.
Yep. But it also has a bit of a retro kind of feel to it, but it also has a lot more variety. Like one of the first videos that they have on there is like a Halloween chill wave, and it's like a 80s kind of retro feel. Each one of them has like the retro or the pixelated art, or I don't even want to say art. It's like a little video, so there's movement and everything like that. And in a lot of them, there's like a lot of little Easter eggs that you can, check some stuff out.
Is this one pretty heavy on the synth as well?
Oh yeah, there's a theme. There's a theme here. But then my last one, it's just called Lo-Fi Vibes. This one is, very similar to your normal lo-fi stuff, but this is like stuff I would put on to relax, to sleep, anything that maybe even just calm down after a hard day. It's really chill. My favorite one is the video is called Game Center, and it's a 90s chill lo-fi, but the video that is on there is an arcade, and Bimo from Adventure Time is chilling in the arcade playing one of the arcade games. And it's just, you just throw that on full screen and just do what you got to do, and it's real nice.
Oh yeah, that sounds awesome. Well, let me tell you, I will definitely be checking out your list this week as I get my workday done. And I hope you listeners will check out our list as well, and I will have links to all of these channels in the description below. All right, and just to wrap up this episode, last thing I want to talk about is I will let you know, I know we've been talking about it since the beginning of the season, but it is now 100% confirmed. Guildmaster Baron and I will be at Origins Game Fair. Mm-hmm. This is
wasn't sure when we were going to drop that on everybody.
Yeah. This is the 50th anniversary. So this
of
is
us going to Origins. Oh wait, sorry, go ahead.
I wish, man. No, I don't. I don't wish that. I don't wish that at all.
No. I'm fine.
But this will be the 50th anniversary of Origins Game Fair. I had no idea it was going on that long.
Crazy, right?
But it should be a big one. Should have a lot of cool stuff for us to cover. But if you're not going, if you want to go, I would highly recommend getting your tickets locked in as soon as possible. Get your passes, because if they haven't sold out already, they're probably going to sell out pretty soon. And we will be there, and we will have some goodies for any guild members who come up to us at the convention. And remember, if you're on the podcast, you're a guild member. So even if you haven't been on the podcast before, if you're just a fan, if you come find us at the game fair, we'll probably put a microphone in your face. If you just say a couple things for us, you're a guild member.
And we'll have a treat for you.
Mm-hmm. But I'm really excited.
I will say, while supplies last.
Yes, while supplies last.
That's important.
But yeah, I'm really excited. I'm excited to talk to some of the people we've talked to before at last year's. I'm excited to see them again. I'm excited to talk to new people. I'm excited to get some fresh perspectives on, the future of the game industry, or how I'd like to see how some of these companies are maybe making some pivots with the tariffs, breathing down their necks. Mm-hmm. Not that I'm excited that that's happening, but, I just to get some fresh perspectives.
And I will say, at least, I don't plan on holding any punches. I mean, if we have anybody there that's supporting the tariffs, I'm going to dig in hard to find out exactly why the fuck they do.
Oh, yeah. And I think we're going to be hard-pressed to find anybody at Origins Game Fair who is supporting the tariffs. But yes, if we find someone, that is a discussion I want to have. Mm-hmm. And will not hold back.
Nope.
With all that being said, email us at castersguild@gmail.com. Let us know about your lo-fi lists. What are you listening through to get through your work days, or get some chores done at home, or do your TTRPG prep?
Yeah, because I would actually love to hear some more recommendations to add to my list.
Join us on our Discord. That's where all the fun stuff is happening. And we will see you in the next episode. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye-bye.
See you later. Bye. Bye.